So, hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 137 and we continue with our exercise, and I hope of course that you tried this exercise, trained a lot, because training is very important, and made a better solution than me probably because I make it on the fly and I hope just it works, and if it's work we are all happy because this is our prototype phase, which means stage 1. So it should just work. We can polish it later, but still try to repeat it as much as possible. And yeah, with that said, we are in task 4 now, and our task is that we update our user got money, because we created already this array, two-dimensional array, and now we should update this array with new values. And our task says that we have to use the array which we created here in task 2. All right. So, and I said there are different ways here because this task is not very clear how you can should solve this. And you can just manually update it, probably, because you say, okay, I take the user got money array and then I manually updated it and write it here, the values in, with my hands, right? It's like a recreation anyhow, but this is not the real way to do this as a programmer. What I mean with that is, if you hear manual update, which means that you file and then type in with your hand the values in, that is not the goal of programmers, because we try to avoid exactly that. We don't want open manually the file and then get the values and then write the values in another place, for example here in this updated array. Our goal is all time to automate this process, which means when we have something like that, here a table, we want as a programmer that we can read this file automatically, which means all these values should be read during when we start a program. The program should read these values here. Then the program should write them perhaps in a nice format. For example, we can create with this one another array, or we can even try to write the values directly while we are reading the values and then writing directly in it. If it does not work, we are transferring these values in another format. Like I said, we can create an array and then use the array to update these values here. And that is so more the goal in future, and why we make this, because you can see this is only one update. What happens if we have here 1 million updates? So think about it, that you don't want open all time 1 million time here the tables and then try manually to write all the values in. And that's why I said in future we will learn how to read files and get the values automatically, and it's updated also automatically, which means we have just to program this automation process. And then if it's right, we don't care anymore because it's worked. But we have not learned reading files so far, right? That's the problem. We will learn this a little bit in the future. But right now we have, I give you just this format here. And still we can make a little bit the halfway, not the full way, but the halfway. What I mean with that, we can try to convert these values manually to a format at least, and then we use the new format to assign it to this array. What I mean with that is, for example, I create here one-dimensional array for this one here, and then I use a one-dimensional array to assign all the values, I mean to update all the values of this array which I created. And you see we have just skipped the reading from a file with this with this way, which we learn in the future. So this is my approach. Of course, if you have here a very simple approach just to overwrite the values, it's okay. But like I said, try to understand that we as a programmer want not use manual updates, which means open up the files. Later, when our program is finished, most time what we want is that all happens automatically after the program starts, that we have not to go into code at all. And yeah, so we try to automate it. And enough talk, let's get started. Let's try to solve number 4. And my solution is, I say, okay, I create a one-dimensional array for this, and I initialize the values here with that one, and then I use this array to update it. But first, let's create this one-dimensional array. So, and you can see here my global variables here on top is empty because I put it all in my login account namespace, and I use this now in my program, which means I avoid name conflicts if the project gets bigger. And now when I create this array, then I have to think if I start with this namespace or I say start with local. Right now, I don't know. And when I don't know, I throw it in the namespace, and later I check if I should use it local because I don't know at start. All right. So let's create it first. So how I create here a one-dimensional array with the updated values, I call this updated values, and I need again the type here of this one here, which is double. All right, then we write here something like, actually I made something wrong. This one I should put here in it too. I forgot that. All right. I forgot that. I make this later. I just put the normal variables in. I forgot the array variables to put in the namespace later. I do this. But right now, let's create a one-dimensional array. I created here in global. No, this one I create directly in namespace, so I don't make the same mistake like before. And yeah, let's write it. So first of all, double, because I need the type, because I will update the numbers, and I already told these numbers are full numbers, but we are talking about money, and money can have also decimal points. That's why we need a double here. Float also possible, but then we have to write all time point 0f or something like that. That's I avoid. And yeah, that's why I use this one here. And this one is then converted automatically behind the scene to a double, because normally this one can be treated as a double. And yeah, let's continue. So I create this array. How I make this? I make a double. I find a name, a good name, which makes sense. And I say here updated values for user got money, something like that. Also update values for what? For this one, user got money. For user got money. I like very long values names because it should be as much as descriptive as possible. I read this one time and I see the intention of the use cases and all the other things before I use it. That's so my intention that I see all before with one reading. So, and then I create an array. We create an array with this one. Of course, we should know the elements now, and in this case we know it. Here we can count our 9 elements. Okay, let's write it 9 in, and oops, not 0, 9. And with that we write here an initializer, which means it's an assignment operator, curly braces, and then the values here. And instead of going all time up and down, I should just copy this one here down. Copy here. I will delete this, it's just so that I see the values here fast. So, and then of course I should here write also a semicolon and then write here the values. All right, oh, not 200, few thousand, 8,000 and 5,000. And you can see I have to write them in this order, so that will work. And 5,000, let's go on, 3,000 and 7,000 and 9,000, and what we have here, 4,000 and 6,000, and the last value is 1,000. All right, we created the value one array. This one I don't need anymore. This was just to keep the values in. All right, I created this one. And if this format is not right, perhaps this spacing is not right, you can select all, Ctrl+F for format, and you see it's auto formatting this line here for you. If you use this auto format, it's nice to have, I think. So let's go on. We have created our values. We have created now, and now I have to assign this anyhow. Now I have to find a way to assign this. And what we do there is we create a new function, because we create an update function, right? Because it says here with the task here, write an update, and an update is an action, right? And most time when you think about actions are functions, because functions do something, right? Functions fulfill or make an action, and in our case the function should update our array. So let's create a function, and where we create a function, I go down to definitions, and you see the lines start to get big. Let's use a shortcut here, Control-M, Control-O, all, oops, not O, Control-M, Control-P. No, it was right, I think. What's wrong? Control-M, Control-O. Now it worked. Yes, now it worked. It was here on top not working anyhow. Okay, so with that said, we have this. So all are collapsed, only this kind of stuff not. And here I can switch a little bit easier down. And I see here, I have normally commented out here that here start my functions, my function definitions. And here is my login account function. Here is my print function. And here, let's see, let's make this one perhaps so it's not going there. Yeah, perhaps so. Let's make this way. And then we create our next functions, and I call this update user got money, and then we create this function. And well, let's check if we need again a return type, because perhaps you need a return type. Actually, it is just an action, which means it takes just values. It assigns this values directly here, and that's it. But wait a minute, we need parameters, but not a return type. All right, so we have no return type, which means we can say void, and then we call our name. And for example, update user got money, user got money. Okay, and then we write here the round brackets and the parameters. We have to think we will get a one-dimensional array here, right? So we see I have created, this is the format which I choose. Of course, there can be different kind of formats, but in our case, it is a one-dimensional array. It has the type double and 9 elements. All right, we write this one in, which means I say, okay, type is double. And then I say, what was the name of this name? Okay, that's a little bit long, but whatever, we take it. Copy this one, paste in, and then write param. We make it even longer. And then let's write the numbers in, which we need. And we learned something with arrays. We don't want that, right? Remember, if you have an array as a parameter, we don't want copies. Doesn't matter if it's short, because we don't know. In this case, our doubles, okay, it's not big, but later we will learn other things which can be placed in arrays which are really big. So in general, what we do there, we use, of course, a reference. Let's put a reference in. All right, and when we put a reference, what we learned there as well, you see already, it says here array of reference is not allowed. How we make this? How we make this, solve this? Yes, we need here round brackets. All time do this one. And now, because now you are reading this one like this, update values for user got money param is a reference, then careful. I hope you watched this one video, how to read this kind of stuff. If you see this brackets, then you go back and say it's a reference, then you see this close brackets of 9 of an array of 9 elements which are doubles, right? This is so the read way, but here is one thing missing. If you see a reference, what we learned also, most time we don't want change the values of the caller, because a reference means all time you make a pointer backwards. A pointer means you can change the caller's value. You don't want that. And how we avoid this? Yes, we can put here a const or here a const. We learned this one as well. And we repeated this one a little bit. You can put const here or here. This is the same. And normally you read it like so. If you put it here, normally when you read C const, all time the left one is the const one. So for example, const double. But I said it can be also put at the start, and this is just an exception, then it's the right one. But in general, when const would be anywhere other, you see, or you would read it all time to the left. What is on the left side of the const, that will be the const thing. So in our case, let's put it here because it's the same. It's because this one here or here, we try to learn this and we repeat it. And here, normally I would put it just all time on top. But like I said, this is just preference. And you still should know it can be here as well. All right, with that said, we have almost finished our parameters. That's cool. Let's open up our body. You know, our function need this curly braces, which is our scope. And yeah, now we have to find a way to assign this value here to this here, and how we can make this. And it's probably not too difficult. When we see here a two-dimensional array and we want to assign values to it, just think all time about loops, because arrays and loops is a must, more or less, because yeah, it's the easiest way. And there are different kind of loops. There are while loops, do while loops, for each loops, for loops, and so on. I don't know if we talked already about this for each loop in this tutorial, which is a range. You could use this as well. If not, because I'm not sure, we use a for loop here again, and then we are assigning this one here. So how we define this, how we start it. So a for loop, and then I have a problem how I assign these values here. I mean, okay, we make a for loop for this one. It will loop here to this position here, here, here. But what is with that? How I get here the values? Actually, you use here also a for loop, but in this case, you use a one-dimensional for loop. So which means here you use a two-dimensional for loop. Here you need just one-dimensional for loop, for example. And then we have to match the assignment. So we know now here a loop, and now how I match this. So for example, you say here, I use a loop, and when I am at this point, I must be at this point, right? And so on. So 0, 0 must be here, and 0, 0 here must be here. And then we assign this. There are probably different ways, and I have no clue which way I choose. That's why let's start and see what happens. First of all, let's make a loop, because I'm lazy. And I said you should reuse code, and you already wrote here a loop, right? We have anywhere here a loop, here in this case. Okay, I put much things in, but I'm not interested in all these things, but perhaps I'm just interested in this loop here, and I'm really lazy. So what I do is here, just copy this one, and then I can go close this one, paste this one in. Perhaps you have another snippet library or something like that, because you can make also a loop library or something like that, instead of all time typing loops by hand. What I mean with that is, let me finish this one fast so you can see what I mean. What I mean with that is, this kind of little code here is a two-dimensional loop, right? A for loop. You can save this anywhere. It's not too hard to type actually, but if you have it stored here, for example, anywhere in your resources, and then you can just open it up and put it in, open it up, put it in. It's also possible. We have not talked about the resources here so much. We will do this in the future. Right now I say, okay, I reuse code. Reuse code means if you have already made something, you can use it. And in my case, this is just a for loop for our two-dimensional array. So I have, which we already talked about, and you know it probably. So, but I have not made a one-dimensional loop, and that's not true. Of course, I can make from a two-dimensional loop easy one-dimensional loop as well. So I copy just this one here. This is my one-dimensional loop. So I'm even more lazy, but I have to be careful that I'm not using here the same variables probably, because then we get a name conflict, perhaps not, depends on the scope, and we will see it. So, but before we go on with the loops and so, let's try to see how we assign this now. Okay, this one is looping to the first element, which should be this one here, and then I want assign this one here. All right, which means what I'm doing here, which means we need this variable value here. Okay, let's copy this one here and put it in. And this one must be pointed out accordingly. And how we point it out, we check this fast if the values are exactly that what it is. So if I see I is my auto loop, which means is my here the row probably. And then I go for K. K is in my case the column, which means it will go here through the row. These are the columns, this. All right. So this is okay. Then I know I want to go for I here and K here, because then I will go start from here and then I will go here. And if I start this way, careful, if you put this other way around, you would go anyhow down. Then you would also have this one a little bit different assigned here. And that's why it's important to check this one here. After this check, we can go on. So I know this one will go now this way. And this way is actually my forward way here in my one-dimensional array, which means I can assign this here, this here, this here. The reason why for that is because I use the update version. Where is that? Oh, okay. Anyway, here, the update, I have also made it more or less like this way, right? This is just a one-dimensional representation, but we can make even this one as a one-dimensional representation. And actually the compiler don't care if it looks like this or if it looks like this. This one, because the presentation is just for the human, I think. So let's go on. With that said, we have checked that this presentation will be just so, and so it will work. And now I have just to assign it. But how I assign it? Okay, assignment operator. Then here I created this variable here. But I will have a little problem, right? Copy this one and paste this in, and this one I can't use. And what I can use here now, interesting, is this one will be all time the K, right? We check this again. Here I go here, here, and here. Then this one will be the first line. So for example, K goes first here, K 1, 2, 3, then it goes here, then K this, then it goes here. So, and then it goes here. So in my case, I just need to write K here. And I even don't need, oops. Now let's see what it says here. All right, it says it's undefined. So then the reason for that is, why is this fast undefined and the other one's not? It's very simple. Because I put it in a namespace, and a namespace says use the scope resolution operator. Let's do it and write the namespace name. Login account in my case. Really? Why it's not popping up? Let's see here. Login account. I copy this one here. And yeah, I put it here in front, and now I use exactly this here. The other ones I will put there too, by the way. This one I will put later, probably here too. I'm not sure, but probably. And yeah, and then we have now called it, and now we have even avoided a second loop here because we can just use this one, this K. So the question is this really true? I don't know. Perhaps I made a logical mistake and said, yeah, perhaps it's not working. We have to test this, right? But before we can test it, this was just a definition, right? So what we have to do is we copy the first line and say, because, let's copy this one, because this one is a definition below our main. I put my main. Okay, let's click here for a different thing. We can go here to, where is that? Where is that? Why I can't see it? I know. No, what's going on? Here is my project. Resource here. I'm blind all time. Source files, of course, and then you can click your main and it jumps to main, and then you can open this one up. And here I wrote already, we finished task 1, task 2, and task 3. I want to call it here, but before I can call it here, because my definition is below main, means I need again a forward declaration, and I write this forward declaration here. And I make here a little bit space. Normally I could make here also some comments here. For example, here, let's do it. Let's do it here also. Let's call this login account. Let's call this one here print two-dimensional arrays. Oh, wait a second. I don't do it. The reason for that is I already did this one. But because I did this already here on the definitions, I should just copy here this one up. But I skipped this way, okay? You can do this here as well to make it clear when you read it what this block is doing, then what this block is doing, and then the next block is doing. All right, let's go on. Later we can do this. All right, so here I made now a forward declaration, which means, okay, the compiler knows, okay, this kind of function exists. And then what I have to do now is one more thing. Of course, I have to call it. I have already go into my main, and my main, you can see I have task 1 finished. After this one, I go to the next thing. You should print out the arrays. Then I go to the next thing, and you should now use, let's paste this one as well here, change here the call. A call don't needs an update. A call don't needs, careful, this one here. We need an argument. This is a parameter. That's why we can erase that. And we can make here, find a parameter, and which parameter we want. And the parameter which we want is actually here already on top. This is our, this one here. Let's call it here. And copy this one and put it in. And there we are. Have a problem, and the same problem like before, because it's in namespace now, because I use a namespace. Let's copy this one as well and make a resolution operator in front, and okay, paste in. All right, we have it. So we can test it if this is working, but this will not show us anything, for example, at least not with our print out statement, but we can test it with our debug. So we don't have to all time print out something. We can use the debug method, and I'm going to use this. I make here a debug point and see if this is working. If not, you can of course use the print out statement. It's faster, I think, because with debug, you have to debug it all time. But let's use the debug method, so we train this as well, and let's see what we have here. And here I will loop a little bit through. So let's see, is my updated version here. I have here user got money array, which is my array which I want. This is this one here. Let's watch these values here little bit, and then I see there is something updated, but if it's true, I don't know. Let's go a little bit here through and see some values here. And with that one, let's see how much would we have. Actually, we see nothing here really good, at least not this way. I have to, because it's all time at the loop. Yes. So this way is bad. Let's skip this. I like here in this case to print out more, because then I can see it easier. So what you can do is here, of course this one will work too with this, but that takes too much time, because you check this and later if you want to check it again, then again checking that takes too much time. Sometimes this one is faster, at this time is actually really faster. And you say just, okay, print me out the values here. You just copy this one, copy, paste, and then you say make here a new line. Oops. All time a new line. And yeah, I think this version is faster. Now we see it on the screen. All right, I print in and I can see, and we can see if these values are real, the updated values. What I have to know, of course, this has not the format. I can use here again the format, and I can use here this copy paste format again. Normally I said you should put this in a function, and if you would make this, what I mean, let's check first the values before I talk too much what I mean. Okay, so we have, this is our table with the original values, right? And now we have the other table. It starts with 2000. So think about it. This one will go like so here, because so I formatted it. So 2000, 8000, 5000. Let's see if the values are right. 2000. Oh, what? There is something wrong, right? There is something wrong. And let's see if I'm wrong or I have something wrong. Let's see what I did there. It's not, let me see. There looks something not right. Let's go. So 2000, 8000, 5000 is expected. 2000, 8000, oh no. The thing what was wrong was my reading. I was blind. The values are right. Okay, you can see sometimes the values are right and your reading is wrong. Here I skipped here. It starts with 2000, 8000, 5000. Yes, 2000. 3. Is this a 3? No, it's wrong. Here it starts again 2000, 8000, 5000, which means it loops here the first line. So there is something wrong. There is something badly wrong. Here went something badly wrong. So we have to solve this, which means I made a big mistake. And where's this mistake? We can see it here. I have my key values. It loops through. That's very fine. And after this loop, it goes here up. It goes to the next point. And the problem is here, that's good that I made this mistake here on the fly, because here we have a two-dimensional array loop, and this one here is a one-dimensional array, right? Which means this one will go to the next line. Okay, I show you this better here a little bit with the, well, yes, let me copy this one here. Because when I talk, it's very hard to follow. That's why let's talk with some pictures, which are this one here. So my mistake here is I tried to be smart and said, yeah, I can just use here this one-dimensional array and use this k value, right? The k value is where what we learned. It will start here and go here to this, and to this. The problem is the two-dimensional array, it will go here, 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 and indeed the two-dimensional array will go here to the next line, because it has this auto loop which says I increment by 1, I was here and now I go here. The problem is k has this not. So, and that was my problem, because k stays here all time. It will go all time the first values. In my case, let me show you what I mean. In my case, it will all time loop here and never go to this place here. It will go here again and then again, and exactly that we see on my outprint. So let's try to solve this on the fly. how we can solve this. This was not the optimal solution, it was, but we are close. So we have to find now a way that this one should go down. So what we do there? So any solution? Oh, and here I was distracted by a fly. That was, of course, not the solution. So here, what I have to do is there are different kind of things what I can do, but I have to make it a little bit complicated again. I could say, okay, if k, I could make here something like a if again. If k is greater, let's say 3, then use k plus 1 and something like that. And because I don't nothing better right now, of course there are better solutions probably, I use it. Like I said, we are in prototyping. Prototyping means just try to find one solution, try it, and then try later perhaps find better. So I say if k, because we are working with this one here and I want later that it jumps to the next line, if k is less than 3, then you can do this one here. Okay, so we make here our case here. Of course, I could solve this also with another thing. For example, you can use here as well as a switch k case, and then so on. But with if it's better, I think. So if k is less than 3 at start, it goes from 0 here. We have 0 to 2, and then it will go to first line. And then I just copy this line here because I'm lazy again. Copy. And then you can write something this, and we copy this one more time. Like so. And then I say here k less than, let's say the next number is less than 6, right? Oh, I hope so. I don't know. Let's see. 0, 1, 2. 2, 3, 3, no, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 6 is good, and here 0, 9. So it will work. It will work. So I hope. If not, we change it. So now we can test it one more time. And let's see. Coder 8. And now we have even something bad. You see. We have again the problem, and the problem is again here the same mistake like before. We need a range, right? You if you made the bonus exercises with this formatting, you saw that I explained something a range, right? We need defining a range where we can use this one. So in this case I said perhaps you should use here the range from 0 to less than 3, and then here you use this one and so on. And here defining a range, we can just make here an operator. We encapsulate this one here, the first condition. Okay, it must be 0 and less than 3, but and then you say and not greater than, for example, than 3, right? All right, is this right? No, that's not right. Because this problem is, yes, that's possible, and not greater 2. And not greater 2, then we can set it. And how to set a not greater 2? Let's say k must be not greater than 2, okay? But a not we can't put here. We know the not operator. This is this one. Oops. This is worse one, but this one don't work. This exists not. So we have to use this parenthesis and put it in front. And here we have again a problem. Perhaps we don't know which one is has a priority, this one or this one. If you don't know, use all time parenthesis. This is the easiest solution, which means all time make something like that. So use here, because the parentheses say, this round brackets here say, finish this first, then finish this first, then after this is finished, use this one, and this one says that must be true, and that must be true. And now we copy this one here as well. Let's copy this one here to the other ones. Copy in. Okay, that was I think I copied this one here because I have to write too much. Copy, paste, and here paste. And yeah, the numbers here again, that was 6, that was 9. And I define here range here, it is not greater than 5, not greater than the other one. I don't know if we would need this one, but just make it. But I don't think we need this one, but still make it. Okay, not greater than 8. All right, and we can test it. All right, let's see. We have defined our range now. And let's see if this range is working. Perhaps it's not working, and it is indeed not working because it goes through. Then we can check why it's not working. So the K is all time goes. Oh, the reason why it's not working is very simple. The point is K becomes not K is all time 3. K becomes not is not bigger, which means that was a bad solution from my. Instead of using K, I could use a better solution. Can you see it? For example, for my bad thinking, the bad thinking is just that was really bad. Happens sometimes, and don't worry, we solve it. Instead of using this K, we could just say I, right? Here, this I, if I is, it will go from 0, 1, 2. So if, and I, and then you make here I equal 1, for example. All right, and then you say here instead, this crap here, what I made, you say here I equal 2. No, that was also wrong because we start with I. That's right, by the way. We start with I0. So which means I have to say here I equals 0. This is my first value because I will at start 0. My second value is I is here 1. And my third value is I this 2. And here this is also crap. And which means we can kick this even out, this K here. Because if I is 0, we are doing this one here. So we don't need even K at all. That's interesting. Which means we don't need this one as well. That's even better. And yeah. So you see many craps, but that's normal. It's okay. We are on development. You can test it. And later, if it works, it's okay. If it's not working, of course, if I would use my brain a little bit more, this would be a little bit faster. But must be not. This is not the problem. Just use it to just find a solution and be happy. Let's see if this is working. Perhaps this one is also not working. So this was all done without thinking too much, and you see. It's not all time the best thing. Perhaps you should think a little bit more, but we see something here. And yeah, we found a solution, but let's compare the solution with this list here. And if I check this, 2,000, 8,000, 5,000, 3,000, no, it's again not working. Here, 2,000, 8,000, 5,000, it's again not working. So let's see the next problem. I thought I was really good, and now it's not working. It's just not working. So let's see what's the problem. If I is 0, it will go here, and it will add K here, and K will start also from 0. And yeah, it's okay. The problem here is still our K, right? Because K is here still our first place, and I need the third place here. So I literally made nothing really. I need now here a new thing. And the thing is here, when I have I0, I can use K, but here I need to add a little bit more. I think we have not done this, right? We have not set K plus 3 and then go on. That's a problem, because normally what you can do is here say k plus 3. So you can say, you can define what it should be from this one on. It started with, let's go here on top, it started here with 0, 1, 2, and here you want to start with 3. So you say k plus 2 probably, because 0, 1, 2, and then we will have to test which k plus. For example, let's test this k plus k. If k is 0, will be 0, 2, so plus 3. We have to make plus 3. And then this one here also, it is set to k plus 3 in this case. And this one is a local scope, which means here we have to set to k plus no, the first one we have not to set at all. That was wrong. We go here on the second one to k plus 3, and here to the last one k plus yeah, I probably think k plus 6. Yes, this one here, and we start, and we have something like, let's see, order a, and we go here, we check here our values. Is this right? 285379 looks good for 6,000. So that looks good, which means that the problem is we have not talked about this one in the tutorial. So because you are just defining here the start point. And let me see if we can do it without this one here. So that you say k, and then I think this one is really needed for this one. This is the easy solution. Too bad we have not talked about this one. I hope you solved this anyhow. but yeah, the solution would be this one here actually. And yeah, I don't know if we can use the other way. Perhaps we can use it not without k at all, and then you can find another solution, but it's much more complicated. For example, you can define all the things differently. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, let's continue. So we found our definition anyhow. This is working. This is okay. The problem is this is just for updating the version. It is on this side. It is going down. This one don't need a format because this is just value update. Of course, we can go to the next task here, and then the next task would be print out all the dimensional array. And this one is very simple because we just call now this array. Let's say a task 3. Task 4 is really simple now. Oops, that was task 4 by the way. And here task 5. And why is this so simple? Because we already have a function for printing out arrays, and the only thing what we have to choose is the right one, which means actually it will choose it automatically because it's overloaded, but we know we need one with a double. The thing is, we check if we have one of them is double. Yes, we made that double one. When I hover with my mouse over it, and you can see this one is the double one, which means I can just copy this call here, which we did before. And now this one here should be the updated version. The only thing which I'm not sure if I have there a new line. Let's write here, it is say out. Just for the debug, a new line. Well, let's make 2 new lines so we can see it. And then we call this one and start this. And go there. Hey. And we can see it. Yes, it looks good. It is updated. So we have here our start value. Let's go here to the task. Where is my updated version here? And you can see it. The updated version is also right. And we can see it was the task 5 was super easy now because we have already created all things what we needed. Whoa, that was fast now. But the problem was here, my thinking. I have not thought at all I have just thrown in things. Sometimes this is cool, sometimes it's not. In my case, it was not. I wasted a lot of time, but I wanted to show you that not all is perfect, right? Sometimes you try this one, try that one, and then you change that one, and you see how much I changed here. So, but in my case was even worse. I have not thought a little bit more. Normally, you should make the theory part here a little bit more than me. And that's why I messed it up so hard. I used anything a range, and then I said I use a K, and so many things, right? I make this a little bit on purpose to show you this works also. Doesn't matter how many mistakes you make. This kind of stuff works also, but you should try to think a little bit ahead. But as a starter, it's a little bit difficult. But later, you should try to think ahead, not like me, just saying, hey, I can use this one, I can use this one, and then it will work anyhow. Here I thought absolute zero logic, which means if I would think a little bit more, then I would know that all that stuff what I did before would not work. But yeah, I want to show you, doesn't matter, this kind of stuff happens also. You will not find all perfect solution at start. So even if you think a lot of ahead, you find the primary things probably, but you should not mess up like me at least, because that was a mess. But you saw I could recover very fast. What I mean with that is I found after my messy code faster solution, and that is not the case in general. What I mean with that in general, if you are working on a little bit more, let's say, complicated project, you have to think ahead. So here, the analyzing here part was here. How you can assign this one here correctly. In my case, I have not analyzed it very well, and I have just tried something and made it wrong without thinking. Yes, then I had changed it without thinking, and then I changed it again without thinking. Yeah, and this is a next level which you should also learn in programming. Really thinking ahead a little bit, and still you have to test it and program it. And this solution what I have here is good, but still not the best. There are probably 10 times better solutions in general, but this one is at least one working solution, right, all time. So I talk a lot here. I showed you again very messy code like all time. That's good that you don't give up because as a starter you will probably make a lot of bad coding too, but you are a starter, you are learning. That's normal. You improving, you get better by doing exercises. Don't give up. And if you was better than me, for example, better than my code, then you are almost better than me. That's really good. That's a good sign. You learned more than me. And yeah, you become really good in programming in the future. If your program was worse than mine, no worry. That's why we make this kind of exercises to train. And the important part is try to solve it. Try to make it work, even if it was worse. Look, my code was really bad. You saw it. I made so a mess that was not even logical right. But later I solved it, right? It worked in the end. And then I solved also task 5 immediately because that was just a call. Because this was finished and I just call it and that's it. So that was my motivation speech. I hope you learned a lot. You did better than me. And with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints or any suggestion, tips and tricks, write it in the comments. See you in the next and good luck. Bye.